When we think about medical breakthroughs, we usually picture some new miracle drug or a fancy surgical robot, right? But what if I told you the next huge leap in saving lives isn't in a test tube at all? What if it's actually hidden in the massive amounts of data our healthcare systems create every single day? Today, we're going to dive into how data science is quietly becoming medicine's new superpower.
To really get where we're headed, you gotta look at where we've been. For centuries, the cutting edge of medicine was, leeches and biting on a stick for pain. We've come a long, long way, thank goodness. But while our tools are now super advanced, our healthcare systems are facing a totally new kind of problem. They're just overwhelmed, basically drowning in the complexity of it all.
And that really gets to the heart of it. We are in a crisis. It's not a crisis of knowledge. We have brilliant people and amazing tech. It's a crisis of capacity. The system itself is just buckling under the pressure of the modern world. And when a healthcare system starts to strain, the stakes could not be higher.
And it's like a domino effect. We have aging populations, which is great. It's a sign of our success. But that also means we see more chronic diseases that need constant care. And all of this is happening on infrastructures that are often underfunded, which puts this incredible strain on the doctors and nurses on the front lines, and they get completely burned out.
So that's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? We can't just keep throwing more money at it. That's not going to work forever. And we can't just magically create more doctors overnight. So we have to figure out a way to work smarter, not just harder. But where does that smarter approach even come from?
Well, here it is. The unexpected hero in all of this is data science. By digging into the mountains of information our healthcare systems are already sitting on, we can start to see patterns, predict what's going to happen, and make things work better in ways that they were basically impossible before. All right, let's start with maybe the most critical point in anyone's medical journey, the diagnosis. Getting that right and getting it fast is pretty much the most important thing for a good outcome. But what happens when the system gets it wrong?
Just let that number sink in. 80,000. That's how many people die every single year just in the US from diagnostic errors. Not from some untreatable disease, but because someone missed something or made the wrong call. This isn't just about being efficient. It's literally life and death. We have to do better. And data science is showing us exactly how. Look at Seattle Children's Hospital. They're pulling data from 10 different systems to give doctors one complete view of a patient instantly. And over at University College London, they've built an AI that can spot really complex heart problems on a scan in just 4 seconds. The result of all this? Patients get the right diagnosis days or sometimes even weeks faster than before. It's a game changer.
Okay, so diagnosis is getting a huge upgrade. But what about the actual treatment? For a very long time, medicine has kind of been a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. But we all know that's not right. Every single one of us is different. And now, data is letting us tailor medicine specifically to you.
And this whole idea has a name: precision medicine. The concept is actually really simple, but it's revolutionary. It means your treatment shouldn't just be based on some generic model of an average person. No, it should be based on your unique genes, your lifestyle, your environment, everything that makes you, you.
And what's making all of this possible? Just look at this. It's insane. The very first human genome project took 13 years and cost around £2 billion to sequence just one person's DNA. Today, we can do it in a few hours for less than 200 quid. That incredible jump in speed and drop in cost is what's fueling this whole revolution. And this isn't just some neat science fact. This has massive, real-world consequences. It means that companies can now create these super targeted therapies, and, this is the important part, they can actually prove that they work. That's how you get these amazing new treatments approved and out to the patients who desperately need them.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've seen how data helps individual patients, but what about the entire healthcare system? This is where data analytics is making the whole thing smarter, from how we run hospitals to how we discover brand new drugs. So here's a fantastic example. 4 hospitals in Paris are analyzing a decade's worth of their admissions records. And why are they doing that? To predict when they're going to get slammed with patients. This lets them make sure they have enough doctors and nurses on shift before the rush hits, not scrambling during it. It's proactive instead of reactive. And it's not just for emergencies. The University of Chicago Medical Center used something called predictive analytics to make their operating room schedule more efficient. And the result? They saved an estimated $600,000 in 1 year. That's money that can go right back into better patient care, new equipment, and supporting their staff.
All right, now let's talk about creating new medicines from scratch. And wow, these numbers are just mind-blowing. On average, it takes 12 years and more than $2.5 billion to get a single new drug onto the market. That is a huge roadblock to medical progress.
So this is where machine learning comes in. Basically, we're teaching computers to find tiny, important patterns in absolutely colossal amounts of data. These smart algorithms can figure out how a new drug might work, help find the perfect patients for a clinical trial, and spot connections that a human researcher might not find in their entire lifetime. The potential here is to literally shave years and billions of dollars off the whole process.
And this whole data revolution isn't just happening in big hospitals and fancy labs. It's happening right here, in our pockets. The use of health apps on our phones has just exploded. Services like Babylon Health are using AI to help people check their symptoms and get advice, often way faster than they could even get an appointment with their doctor.
So let's bring all of this together, from getting the diagnosis right, to getting treatments made just for you, to making our hospitals run better. Data science is fundamentally changing how we think about health. So what does the future look like?
This quote just nails it. Data science isn't about replacing doctors. It's about giving them a superpower. It's like giving them a flashlight that can shine a light into these dark, complex corners and reveal patterns and connections that were just totally invisible to us before.
And nowhere do we need that flashlight more than in the fight against our toughest diseases. Let's take cancer. By lighting up all the incredibly complex data from both the patient and the tumor, scientists are creating a whole new generation of treatments that actually work with the body, not against it.
I mean, check this out. It's amazing. There's a new drug being developed, BPM 31510, and it was designed using massive data analysis. It doesn't just poison cancer cells like old-school chemo. Instead, it finds the disease cells and it basically flips a switch that tells them to die off naturally. It helps the body heal itself. This is the future right here.
And that idea of working with the body brings us to one last fascinating question. For hundreds of years, we've focused on studying disease, but what if data science finally gives us the tools to really truly study health? We know some people are just naturally more resilient to getting sick. The next great frontier is using data to understand why. What if we could shift medicine from just treating sickness to actively building wellness and resilience in everybody? Now that is the ultimate promise of this data revolution, and that's a future worth getting excited about.